Hello, welcome to my new series on American Psychological Association writing style. And this particular lecture series is going to be geared towards writing up lab reports for undergraduates, writing the same kind of research papers that psychologists publish, but primarily geared towards undergraduate students, particularly in classes like our cognitive psychology labs and sensation and perception labs here at Colorado State. So the first thing to say about APA style is this is science writing. And science writing is completely different from other types of writing because it is not designed to be creative. It's not designed to be literature. It is designed to efficiently convey information. That's one of the important things to realize about APA style is this is very much so a less is more style of writing. So as you are putting together your research papers, realize that efficiency of language is one of the most important things when it comes to this kind of writing. So this first lecture is going to be a basic introduction to some of the ways to approach APA style. In future lectures, I'm going to tackle each individual section and how to approach it specifically for each of those introduction, method, results, and discussion sections. And we'll finish up with some discussion of how to easily do APA style references. But first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about writing style. So again, this is science writing. This is very much a less is more type of writing style. So you want to read through your papers and look at them with a critical eye and see, is this sentence necessary? Is it redundant? Is it repetitive? Because if it is, get rid of it. APA style is a different kind of writing. This isn't, I need to fill 5 pages. This is, I need to convey this information. And one of the issues you have to realize when you're writing this kind of paper is that we're talking about scientific journals that have limited space and resources. And so oftentimes they will have very strict limits as to the length of a paper. So it's not so much trying to get a 10-page paper written, but it's trying to get an entire experiment in 3,000 words or less. And so this is a very efficient writing style. So the first thing to realize is do not use what I call pedestrian phrases. So do not start your paper out with things like, since the dawn of time, man has been interested in human memory. There's no place in an APA style paper. Please do not use phrases like researchers for many years or for many years researchers have. There's no need for that. What you want to do is you want to be succinct and precise in your phrase and your phraseology. So you want to be clear and concise in your language. And the other thing I want to talk about is how you go about approaching the whole paper. And the first thing is you want to outline your paper before you do anything else. And so what you'll do is you'll just kind of go into this nice Microsoft Word function we have here and do things like introduction. I don't know why it's changed my font. You also won't use Arial Black, but I'm trying to do this so that you can see very clearly what to do. So we're going to do an introduction. Remember, APA style is always a 10 to 12 point font, usually Arial, Times New Roman, and Helvetica, one of those, but I usually use just Arial because it's easiest to read. So you'll start with an introduction to our outline. Thank you. Oh, I do so love Microsoft Word. So you start with an introduction. Method. Results. Discussion. References. We'll fix the font in a minute. So you'll have this as your starting point, and your starting paragraph, which might be something like, let's say your paper is going to be on the testing effect. Very common thing we look at in undergraduate studies. So, be something like a setup paragraph. You're going to review, retrieval, enhanced learning, then testing in the classroom. Maybe you'll relate to elaboration, generation effects. Then we'll get down to where the last couple of paragraphs, this is again a quick summary, where you summarize the literature and how it relates. And then maybe in your final paragraph, it's your hypothesis statement. So the reason you want to outline this is because you can then start to do things like, so we're going to go on retrieval enhanced learning, and we're going to start with research by, say, Jeff Karpicki and his colleagues. And then you can talk about the next study, which might be a study by Mark McDaniel. And then you can sort of start tying these together, so you can start seeing how you make an argument. So what you'll then do in this outline, if you remember, is you'll put your sort of thesis statement. So one of the biggest things to understand is this is just like other writing. One main idea per paragraph. So you want to, as you go through and start writing this, figure out what each main idea is. And when you have this outline, you can then look at the organization and see if that makes sense. And then you can also move stuff around very easily as you start to write. The other thing you can do is you can include right in here which references are going to go in which paragraphs. And of course, you might use them in multiple paragraphs. And then as you go down to method, you'll do something very similar. It'll start with usually participants in design. Then materials, procedure. The exact nature of this will depend on your experiment. Results, oftentimes, this again will always depend on your study, but your results section may not be more than a paragraph. The biggest thing to remember with results is this is really data, reporting of your data. You're not interpreting it. You're just describing your data. Of course, you might have a figure here, so maybe you'll report on ANOVA and some means, etc. Then in your discussion, the first paragraph out of the gate is relate your data to your hypothesis. And then you will move on, and the rest of your discussion will relate your data to the extant literature. This is how you sort of structure your whole APA style paper, but the biggest thing to think about is efficiency of language, trying to make sure the way that you do this is succinct and clear. And so that's one of the biggest goals you want to think about is how you can make your writing as clear as possible. So in the next lecture, we'll talk more about how to write that